I'm Tanya X Short, the captain of Kitfox Games, and this is Tarn.
Hey.
Yeah, so Kitfox Games you might have heard of because we're making a few other games, but one of the first things that you've heard of is Dwarf Fortress, which we're publishing on Steam. But Tarn is the legendary game developer, they say, who's actually been making the game for so long. And we're taking questions for the next hour from both the Discord chat for Stream 2, the Unicorn Theater, and from the Twitch chat. So it looks like we have a couple people. CleanoDev, the Dwarf Fortress subreddit mod, is here, and he's asking how to access the Discord channel. So it looks like maybe some Penny Arcade folks have to put some Discord channel information in their Twitch channel. Maybe they'll hopefully look at that shortly. Also, someone's saying that maybe there's not sound on the Twitch channel. Is that possible? Oh no, the Jackal Man is our audio person who's working on things. Okay, well, I mean, I just got a message from Victoria saying she said she could hear me. So I don't know if it went offline again or if there's another issue. But I guess we shouldn't actually start answering questions until that is solved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you want to talk about what you had for breakfast this morning, or something else?
Well, I drank some coffee, and
me too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I shared a little bit of the milk with Scamps, who's down here.
Yeah, I'm told Scamps will make an appearance.
Yeah. Well, he's sitting on over here is slightly lower than the camera level, unless you can see him.
He probably needs a higher chair then.
Well, we only want to encourage him so much. Plus, this is normally his chair is right here on the desktop.
I mean, shouldn't he actually have a higher chair than you since his rank is higher?
Again, this is all for my safety. I mean, in his own mind, his rank is always higher anyway.
All right, I'm told the audio is working.
All right.
So yeah, hopefully someone can post the Discord information on the Twitch channel so that non-subs can have a chance of us answering questions. Thank you, CleanoDev, for all your moderation assistance. So yeah, I guess the first question for people who maybe have heard of Dwarf Fortress but don't really, know what the current situation is. What is the deal with Kitfox Games? Why are you making a Steam version?
Yeah, so we had some health troubles. How long has it been now?
Well, it was remember the whole thing. March 2019 was when we made the announcement.
Yeah.
So I think we first started talking about it like 4 months earlier or something like that.
Yeah.
Late 2018.
It would have been right then that the first real problem happened there. So yeah, we need American health insurance, which costs American money, and so we've been releasing the game free since 2006, and been running the website since 2000. Just kind of doing stuff like asking for people to just send us money over PayPal, or doing, and then we got on Patreon after that. But yeah, it just doesn't add up as you get older, really, and we don't have sort of employer type insurance and that kind of thing. So. Yeah, so it made sense to finally make the move over to a more traditional model, except it's not a traditional model because we'll still be releasing the classic version for free, and we have the premium version that's going up on Steam and Itch is going to have graphics and sound and that kind of thing that people come to expect from a game over the last 30 years or so. And yeah, so that's it made sense to just kind of get everything squared away in that kind of fashion. And we went with Kitfox because I've known Tanya for a long time, and we are not comfortable like getting artists and musicians and things like that. So that's all been working out great. We've been working on that kind of as our only focus for the last 6 months or so, because we were we had some old loose ends to tie up for the whole first year that we were technically
well, you were
together.
doing a huge update. I mean,
yeah,
that's
no,
how it goes.
Yeah, can't just switch gears on people. So we took some time to transition over to the graphical interface work, but now we've got interfaces work, right? There's scroll bars and buttons and tool tips. You can use the mouse, which is like, you could use the mouse on certain parts of Dwarf Fortress before, and other parts it wasn't working, and it was all kind of like ASCII glyphs that you'd be clicking sometimes. And yeah, no, we're cleaning all that up, so it'll be, you know, hopefully something that people can tolerate.
Well, so it's been a year and a half since we made the announcement, and I can say that part of the reason why we announced so early, which we explained at the time, but we knew that it wasn't coming for at least a year and more, because you were still working on the big, is the villains update, right?
Yeah.
But we announced so early because we didn't want people to freak out. We wanted to be able to explain what was going on if they heard that we were working together. If something leaked, you know, we didn't want people to panic. But we're still getting occasional panicking. One of the questions that we've gotten recently is, are you Tarn on a deadline? Now, I mean, I could be theoretically pressuring you to say a certain thing, but I got to tell you, everybody, Tarn does not do well under pressure anyway. So I'm just going to answer the question however you like, Tarn. What is your deadline, and how does Kitfox keep you on schedule?
Yeah, well, I mean, technically, I'm on a deadline, just because when you write up a contract, you have numbers in there so everyone feels comfortable. And you know, that comes up, you know, a while from now, but it's not something that we've been talking about, really. I mean, we'll certainly be flexible about that, especially the way the response has been. I'm assuming we can hash that out if something comes up, and things come up in 2020. It turns out, my sky is red right now, but yeah, no, mainly, I mean, there's no kind of pressure. I mean, the pressure comes from me because, as I said, healthcare. It's like, even if there was like a reason to do like a year extension, 2-year extension, or whatever, I'm not. I'd rather get the game done, work on the things that we said we're going to do, finish them, release the game, and yeah, good stuff will follow. And it's not like we're not just going to keep working on the game anyway after that. I mean, I've been working on it for 18 years. And after the first release, there'll be other releases. Yeah, no, there's really no kind of strict date, which is sadly why we don't have a release date either. But we've been making good progress. You can check it out on the blog or the Steam news. We've posted a bunch of pictures of the new interface. You can go look at what we've been doing and see if that's more to your liking than the old ASCII stuff, especially if you bounced off the ASCII before. I think you'll like what you see when you go there.
Yeah, the Dwarf Fortress community is so big. I mean, part of it has fractured due to various reasons. I mean, some people are concerned that the Steam version will be a new fracturing. I think it's exciting because it'll reach people that could never have played it before, and you know, maybe it'll still be a little bit too much, but for a lot of them. But I think a lot more people will be able to give it a chance than they would be without graphics and sound. But some people are wondering how we're going to change, or if we're going to change the way you handle your community after launch. So I can tell you that, I mean, actually, we haven't talked about this in detail yet, so this is a little bit raw. But I mean, my impression was that Kitfox would do most of the Steam forum handling, and hopefully the other communities would sort of status quo. Like, you would primarily pay attention to the Bay 12 site, and maybe, you know, subreddit is its own thing that has its own moderators that we sort of, you know, we collaborate with, but we don't directly control. Is that your impression of how things are going to go as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't go to the subreddit very often at all, and it's kind of already sort of masterfully handled. there, and they have a really great community over there. And then we have our forum people where I kind of do the direct Q&A, and I don't anticipate that changing how that works. And we talk through the devlog there. And then over on Steam, you all have been handling kind of the forum discussion over there. If that changes, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if something about that changes, just because there'll be a release up and there'll be a lot more kind of technical stuff going on, like bugs and that kind of thing. And we'll need to come up with some kind of new workflow there, right? I mean, the bug tracker we're currently using has been great, and we have volunteers helping us out there.
Thank you to all our volunteers.
And whether, no, I mean, they're awesome, right? I mean, for years they've been kind of managing all of this this stuff that's been coming in over there, because it's a game that requires a lot of attention. Whether there's an influx of people on the bug tracker that kind of overwhelms that system is an actual concern that we'll be thinking about as we approach the release. And it'll be we're going to have to be open to change
if necessary. I mean, I'm sure Kitfox can help with the bug sorting, or like, being an in-between to like gather everything and sort it for you, so you don't have to spend hours going through every single little comment and question.
Well, we'll see. Yeah.
Well,
Don't write that check now.
So we got one question from Sethatos a couple of minutes ago. Has the pandemic or 2020 in general interrupted your work or collaboration or changed it in any way? I'll let you answer first, and then I'll
I mean, how could it not, right? I mean, not just the pandemic, but I mean, we've got the fires now. We've had all the civil unrest, all that kind of thing. Zach broke his leg. That was great during the pandemic, and that changed a lot of how things happened.
How did he do that? What was he doing?
Well, the thing is, we ended our CRAN rewards back in the beginning of the year, and so we had 400 requests, right?
And someone broke his leg?
No, no, we had 400 requests, and so he had to come over here to get the CRAN materials, right? Because he was we don't see each other that often now in the current situation. And so he was going to collect the CRAN materials, and he was walking down my apartment stairs. I'm up not on the first floor, and didn't quite get through the stairs. Fortunately, it was only like the fourth stair from the end that he slipped on. And that was an ankle, and that was some weeks of he's better now. It's the cast off and everything. Yeah. And but yeah, not a cool way to live through your pandemic when we're all sitting here cooped up. And
well, at least you are cooped up anyway, right? Like, he's not missing out on a mountain climbing adventure, or well, actually, I guess mountains are kind of safe comparatively. He's not on a supermarket adventure or a shopping mall.
Until
addiction.
now we're all back to shopping, and that's of course
no.
everyone's nightmare pandemic thing is like, oh no, I have to go shopping, right? So we have to do that, mask up, and go into the people not great at social distancing, and etc.
That seems like something you've had a lot of practice in, is your hermitage, as it is, is relatively socially distant.
Yeah, although I mean, people talk about that, how like for some of us it's not going to be a big deal being cooped up, but you still notice very much what's going on. It's still stressful. It's still some of those days where you just want to sleep an extra 6 hours or whatever. Not that all of us have that luxury, but sometimes I do, and I sleep a little bit extra. It's not great. But hopefully things will somehow get better and not worse.
I mean, as far as our collaboration, I feel like it's the same. Like, we do 99% of our stuff virtually anyway, since you're over on the West Coast and I'm typically over in Montreal. Although right now I happen to be on the West Coast in Vancouver, so we could drive to see each other in non-pandemic 2020 times.
Just in time for
but we still probably wouldn't do work then. We'd probably just like hang out and eat sushi or something. Which I do miss that from GDC. It was very sad that we didn't have our sushi dinner at GDC, but oh well. We had a few more questions. People are finally stepping up here. So we have a question for Tarn. What have been the biggest challenges moving from ASCII to graphics in terms of the game design? Are there areas of the game you feel benefit from requiring the player to imagine the detail in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, things look, I mean, that's basically the contentious topic in especially the roguelike genre from the beginning, is whether or not you should have graphics at all. And some people do benefit entirely from just the text graphics, and they like that. Now for doing the graphical representation, I think I mean our initial, all of the stuff looks pretty cool to me. Where things get difficult is stuff like our procedurally generated creatures, right? I mean, we have which we've started on that work, and we did the night trolls, for instance, can look different ways, and it's just hard to capture everything about them without sitting there drawing thousands of pictures and gluing them together, and then you know, sometimes that doesn't even kind of convey what the sentences convey. So there's certainly a part that's going to be difficult as we continue doing Forgotten Beasts and so forth. As there's like, if you search Forgotten Beast on Google Images, you'll see these drawings that people have done, right? And that's just inspired by, you know, 3 or 4 sentences that it uses to describe them. And now, when you have a representation of that, I don't think that necessarily is going to really change that dynamic that much, because you see like fan art of games that have really great 3D graphics, right? So I think it'll be fine. I mean, but that is certainly when we talk about things where text graphics shines, I think it's one of the main examples.
Yeah, I mean, I played a lot of MUDs, which are, you know, text MMOs back in the 90s and early aughts. And if somebody said they were going to take my old MUD and add graphics, I'd be furious, because it would ruin it for sure. So I understand people who want to stick with the Dwarf Fortress Classic for sure. And I'm glad that you still want to support them. Okay, so that was from Dahaka102. Thank you. Looks like we also have some from the Discord. So the Jackal Man, our audio help, actually wants to chime in here and ask, what, if you could think of something, anything, what would drive you to make a sequel instead of continuing improving on Dwarf Fortress?
Well, yeah, I guess a couple things. I mean, people often use a sequel as a chance to kind of rewrite the core engine, which is what we're going to do with a lot of the Magic release anyway, and we're just not calling it. I mean, I guess we could call that Dwarf Fortress 2 or 3 or whatever number we're technically on.
I thought it. Oh, you want the
Magic?
It's already 2.
Yeah. I mean, that's possible to do that. Other than that, it would have to be like Dwarf Fortress 2: Dwarves in Space or something like that. Which is something that would be fun to work on, because there's a lot of challenges that we haven't tried to address, won't try to address, in terms of like how, if everything's more ranged feeling, right? And there's many light years of distance, or even laser guns or whatever. Like how does that make things feel? But
that's basically just magic wands, right? Like, is there actually a meaningful difference there? I don't know.
No, I mean, that's kind of what the Spelljammer setting tells us, or something too, right? Is like, you can kind of do space anyway. I mean, I'm not sure how well that worked. I never actually played that. But if you had the
choice, would you, like you could put the magic system or whatever in Dwarf Fortress 2 instead of original Dwarf Fortress?
Yeah.
But like, what would make you decide to do the sequel instead of the continual improvements?
Yeah, no, it would be, well, I mean, I'm basically doing it, right? I'm basically doing the rewrite anyway, but tacking a number on there, I mean, people do that. People are really, well, I don't know. We've kind of changed overall into this kind of games as a service model, but that's basically what we've been doing from the beginning, except it was like.
Okay, so you wanted us to make it free to play, and we're going to sell.
Dwarf Fortress is free to play. It's just not free to play in the sense of having microtransactions or whatever.
That's
right?
what I mean. We gotta start selling something, right?
Yeah, no, it's just buskerware or whatever. And that's kind of what we've been doing. And so yeah, no, so the whole sequel like mindset is something that I just, we haven't been operating in that model. I mean, I guess now we're on Steam, we're supposed to do sequels and DLCs, a Dwarf Fortress DLC. I don't even know, right? It's like, I mean, I guess people put the sound, like that's
the soundtrack might be a
yeah.
nice added DLC or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of thing. People like music and stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
Well, the way it's currently set up, they'll probably just get the music files in their basic install, right? Like.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they'll be sitting there. They're just going to be. I don't know if they're going to be OGs or whatever, but you can just kind of, yeah. I mean, I don't know if we encourage people to open up file locations and copy the music over to their iPad. What do people use to listen to music anyway?
Not iPods.
Yeah, that's like 1,000 years old.
No.
I mean, well, I guess people put things on Bandcamp or Spotify or whatever or something. Yeah, who knows? That's yeah.
Cool. So where do you see Dwarf Fortress in 10 years? It's 2030 and we've survived and you still have the internet and you still have Dwarf Fortress to do. So what's the status?
Okay, so if we're assuming magic is out and people, excuse me, I don't know if that's ash or something, but people assume magic is when 2023, 2024, 2025. Yeah, we're doing it. It's best not to say because I always get it wrong. So let's say magic comes out in 2020. Yeah, and then
2020. Oh no.
And then, but then no, 10 years. But so we have a plan after that, right? We have the embark scenarios, the kind of law rewrite, the ethics and other kind of forms of civilization rewrite, and then after that, we were kind of wondering between like boats and the economy. What do we want to do? We love boats and stuff, and we'd be, heavy into that or through that, and kind of dodging the what's the world like in 2030 question, but best not to think about. So yeah, no, I think we're just going to be doing this. I mean, it's not very imaginative to say we're just going to be doing the same thing and according to the plan from that we have. But that's why we have a plan. That's what we think we're going to be doing. So hopefully just that, because the game will be really cool when that stuff is in.
I think that's a fair answer. I hope HTML gamertag, which is his actual name or their actual name, is satisfied with that. It is the honest truth. C-Selectamy would like to know, are there any future features you're most excited about potentially implementing? You're not allowed to say all of magic. You'd have to specify a particular mini sub-feature, I guess.
Yes.
The C-Selectamy didn't say that, but I just figured you said magic already. So
yeah. No, and I talk about that all the time anyway. So that's fine. But I mean, I really like to give boats a try. I mean, that'd be super cool. I mean, having like pirates with an exclamation point, except you're inside Dwarf Fortress with your little dwarves on a boat and going around doing all kinds of things like finding your lost relatives and so forth. But there's more. I mean, I'm kind of fascinated to see what happens when we finally turn back around and get the randomized games into the thing where it tries to kind of generate board games and so forth. I mean, I can hear Mike Cook laughing at me right now, like, been working on that for X number of years or whatever, but
maybe it can be integrated.
Angelina, well, that's Angelina. Is that the old one? I don't know if there's a new one. There's other ones, but well, what do you think?
Scamps, it's Scamps time. Scamps time.
Yeah. What are you howling about? You're gonna come up here and cause trouble.
Oh, we didn't get to see him. You gotta put his face up.
There you go, mister. There's that.
Yay! Thank you, Scamps.
We're gonna lose the internet.
Okay.
All right. What are you doing?
All right. Right, pirates. And let's see, what's this person's name? Saker Tarsos wants to ask, can you describe some of the challenges of adding a completely new system like Magic to an already complex simulation? Do strange and bizarre occurrences happen as systems collide?
Oh, well, yeah. Yes, I mean, the challenge is you have to think of everything in advance, and if you don't, then bad things happen. And since you can't, bad things do happen. I mean, for something like magic that touches everything, I mean, if you're even thinking of one effect like portals or something that let you teleport somewhere, then there's the technical problem of having different sections of the map loaded or something like that, which is a big deal. There's the pathfinding problem. There's the kind of what happens if a portal opens, what could be there at the time that could be disrupted, even if it's something like a little rat walking around on the ground or something, that doesn't have to check through everything. And that's why we go through and, you know, when we're talking about new features, actually the monthly Q&A is great for people thinking of things that I hadn't thought of when they're like, have you thought about this ramification of this thing that you just mentioned on the devlog? And it's like, no, I will note that down, thanks, or whatever. It's like
outsourcing your production.
No, there's a lot of people that know more about sections of the game now than I do, especially with the modding community and so forth. That you know, they catch a lot of things, and it's difficult. I mean, it's also as people that have been programming can imagine, there's a huge kind of code architecture problem when it comes to like, oh, I'm just going to add a whole new thing, and how does it play nice with everything else? And you just get kind of good at future-proofing stuff as you continue on with a large project. You start to learn your own habits. I mean, that's part of the challenge of writing a project like this, is kind of this journey of self-discovery you go on. Like, I know I'm going to screw this up, so I'll write a note to myself and put a date on it, because that's fun. If you write a comment that's a warning to yourself, it's fun to have the date staring you right in the face. You don't have to go like search through some kind of repo to find the date, but just have the date sitting there. So you know that, you know, 17 years ago, I had a really good, you know, idea of how stupid I was going to be 17 years in the future. And wow, was I right, or whatever. And
I'm traveling.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
Just as a small reminder, we are prioritizing the questions on the Twitch stream, since people are paying to subscribe and everything. We feel that that's the fairest thing to do, unless an amazing question comes up the Discord. But generally, I'm going to be looking at the Twitch first. And if people are interested in the systems colliding, Tarn tells the story of drunken cats very well in the No Clip mini documentaries. If you look on YouTube, search No Clip Dwarf Fortress or No Clip Tarn Adams. And it's a very entertaining watch. Very well edited. No clips.
Yeah, that was an excellent video.
Yeah. I hope they do another one sometime, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So Some Pancakes wants to know, are cats in Dwarf Fortress being legendary climbers inspired by Scamps?
Yes, here, and this one here, who currently has 2 feet on my chair and 2 feet. Whoop, there goes. Okay, watch the cable there, buddy. But yeah, no, he doesn't even go up his cat tree anymore. Cat trees are such a weird decision, because he got tired.
If you move it somewhere else, he might get interest again.
Yeah, I tried. Yeah, I tried that. It worked for about a week. So I guess we just have to move the cat tree every week is the solution to that problem. But yeah, no, and it really is. I mean, I've got I guess I should make an apology to all the dog owners as well, because I've only ever had cats, and so the cats can, you know, capture vermin and bring them to the dwarves that they've adopted. They can.
Wait, there's no dogs?
No, there's dogs, but they don't have all these idiosyncratic behaviors.
Yeah, okay.
Cats do the head bump. Okay. Cats do the head bumps. Cats have the climbing thing. They do the vermin catching. They have their own adoption rules. Like, they aren't the pet. The dwarf is the pet, and so forth. Just all this cat stuff, and but I mean, we finally did do petting. Like, you can pet all the animals. We actually. Everyone needs, I guess, ends up bowing eventually to the "Can you pet the dog?" a Twitter account.
They have all the power. What are you going to do?
Yeah, no, they run the game industry now. So it's basically how that shook out. So they put up a little video of someone petting an ASCII D, which was funny. But the
I'm fine with them being the president of video games. Okay, so AstroDude1789 wants to know, what have been your favorite topics to research while designing Dwarf Fortress?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of them. I mean, just reading the law codes was a lot of fun. That hasn't gone in the game yet, but I read several, just straight through several very large law codes from the ancient world, mostly. Just seeing all the ways that people. I mean, because law codes are interesting, right? Because you don't generally make a law unless it's something people are doing a lot of. So it kind of tells you about the civilization in question. to read a law code. And so it'll be fascinating to see how that plays out when it goes into the game, to see like when is a law made. If there's enough of things that offend a certain class of people, then they can get them formalized. It's a sort of an intriguing systems thing. I was thinking about that while I was reading them, and it was just something that was fascinating. I mean, just as one example among many.
Yeah. Okay, so Wishwise wants to know, will dwarves eventually be able to build cat trees? And Industriable has the same thought a minute later, saying, are there plans for cat furniture in Dwarf Fortress?
See, now this is a thing where I have not made a plan. I mean, it's fair to say that I did not plan that, and that it makes an excellent suggestion. Now, normally we have the year 1400 as a cutoff, just as a general rule. So what I'd like to see in the suggestion board is then examples of medieval and ancient cat furniture, because I know literally nothing about that.
I've seen cat armor. I've seen the battle armor somebody made for their cat in I don't know, 1800 or something like that.
Now, did they send their cat to war?
No, I believe it was ceremonial.
That's good.
But maybe I'm an optimist. Maybe I just I can't believe that someone would possibly. Well, you can't send a cat to war. It wouldn't go. I mean, it wouldn't. Well,
go. the last total war, they seem to have got. I don't know if they're way out on a limb, but they're just sending the tigers in there. They're like 3 kingdoms. There must have been war tigers, right?
I guess somebody might have, but it seems more dangerous than it's worthwhile. I mean, even elephants were a little bit dangerous for war animals. But.
Yeah. No, that was no elephants.
Okay, back on topic here. The quick answer is no, not currently, is what I'm hearing.
That's right.
All right. Clino Dev was requesting rather than asking, which is our super moderator here. We'd love if Tarn walked through some of the community utilities and so on. It'd be great for people to see what's out there already in anticipation of premium planning after graphics.
So I'm not quite sure what this is. This is community utilities.
Oh, I think he's asking like, what is the mod support on Steam going to be like? Clino Dev, I don't know if you want to. Clarify what exactly is there, but I mean, because we haven't actually started going into that yet, right?
No, we don't know. I mean, I'm assuming I'm not sure if he's talking about like the whole like DF hack and then all the circle of things around DF hack. There's the Legends viewer. There's the there's things like Dwarf Therapist, which I don't remember if they all attach to Dwarf Fortress hack, but there's the kind of big bundle is the Lazy Noob pack, and if you want to have a shot at Dwarf Fortress before we release, that's a good way to get a lot of sort of help with and extra utilities and extra functionality. And then how is that going to translate over to the Steam release? We've in the past utilities like workflow, like we didn't look at it specifically, but they get they get completely different.
Clarified. Yes,
different,
he is
completely different.
He was hoping that you would familiarize yourself with those utilities to learn what the community wants. It's a request for not here live on stream, I assume.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, well, I mean, there are some things to say about that. For instance, Meth, who does the Masterwork mod, is also one of the artists, and Meth has a lot of connection to the modding community and all of the things that are in the different mod packs and utilities and so forth, and has surfaced some of those things for us in terms of like, well, this is what an option screen could look like, and this is this mod exists and so forth, and additionally some of the things that we like I just mentioned, the workflow mod, that through, we didn't look at it specifically, but a lot of the mods kind of get, we hear about their specific features through the suggestions board, right? People will just say, well, this works this way, and this is a suggestion for how the game might work. And so a lot of things that were in workflow kind of ended up being part of how the manager screen worked, I think. And there's a similar kind of move now with discussions about there's dwarf therapist versus auto labor, right? These are two different ways of thinking about the game. Can you want to micromanage your dwarves? Do you want to micromanage their professions, through a giant spreadsheet or otherwise? Or do you want them to be able to choose what they do with more autonomy, but which also removes a bit of control over how you run your fortress? And so we're going to do something with that, because the current setup is not user-friendly, like many things about Dwarf Fortress, but that's one of the high priorities. And really, yeah, just the more people bring things to our attention, the more we hear about them.
Yeah, like that one video, I don't know if people saw it, the Animal Crossing fan video that was like, here's some UI improvements that they acted like it was a Nintendo Direct, and they just they mocked it up. It was really cute. And it's kind of similar seeing mods come in for Dwarf Fortress, I'm sure. So somebody, we have a very long question here. So
attention.
I'll try to summarize it a little bit. But Dahaka 102 says, Dwarf Fortress and games, they let players tell their own story out of a complex simulation. But you have an interesting choice as a designer about how much game to have and how much simulation to have, right? Like how hands-on to make it. For example, you could allow the dwarf to be completely autonomous, but it's better to let players do a bit more, assign jobs and tasks. What's your perspective on that, and what is the line for you for Dwarf Fortress?
Yeah, no, it's good to have principles, right? It's good to have design principles and mission statements and things like that. As silly as that sounds, when you're designing your own projects, it's good to say, what is the player's role, and what do you want them to feel and control when they're doing it? And for us, Dwarf Fortress, the current thing we've been working with, and by current I mean like the last 10 years or whatever, is that the dwarf is the official will of the fortress. The dwarves are autonomous, but the player is somehow playing like the bureaucracy or the kind of institutional memory and all that kind of thing, so that they should be able to make decisions that people that have positions of some kind of power can make, while dwarves are otherwise free to organize their whole life. So that makes the player kind of a zoning committee, that makes the player in charge of the work projects and so forth. That means that there'd be, in some sense, room for a dwarf to go off and do their own carpentry projects or something, but that's something we haven't been able to tackle because of how it would occupy a workshop, and that might take away from the player's ability, and it would use up resources that the player maybe didn't free up for that purpose. But then again, I mean, you kind of instantly find possible solutions to that. Like you could just designate either a percentage or specific items that are free to use or whatever, and you could designate a whole area of workshops to say, hey, these are free to use, and then dwarves can go off on their free time when they'd often be just sitting around or partying or whatever, and some of them might want to go work on a craft projects instead from the free pool, and that would completely fit the feel of the game, whereas having dwarves completely take over all of the workshops, like in a game like Majesty or something like that, wouldn't be quite the feeling we're going for. Like a Majesty's type feel, which if you haven't played that, I guess there's a remaster or something now.
So
yeah, it's like that one. You just give very gentle suggestions about how your community should act. Like for us, official will of the fortress includes things like, this is where the military squad will be. This is the patrol pattern that it's on. This is what its objectives are. And in Majesty is kind of just like, put a bounty on that creature and maybe someone will do it, maybe someone won't. It's a little looser with player control than Dwarf Fortress is. And in my recollection, I haven't played for quite a while, but and they made a decision about that and stuck with it, right? And that's the same thing we try to do. So yeah.
Cool. We have two related questions, actually. So a good 20 minutes ago, Zemalak, well, first, you had a request from somebody who unfortunately couldn't make it today. They would like to recommend that you get a machine body so that you can continue developing the game eternally, just so you know. But then Zemilak wanted to say, with a game that's been iterated on this much, how much time do you spend creating new features versus revising and refining old code? And somebody else chimed in on Twitch, Will Cynical said, do you anticipate slowdown of core game development as a result of Steam release? But it sounds related, but how much time do you spend on new features versus old code? And let's do a little bit more rapid fire because we have a bunch of questions and only 20 minutes left.
Okay, so no, I mean there's quite a bit of work on old code, and the more the code there is, the more you have to go back and clean it up. So
you don't need to talk faster. It's okay. I'm just saying let's we'll just a little bit more answer the questions and move on.
No, so no, but it's no, that's there is more work, and I anticipate for the Steam release that I mean having. I'm getting practice coordinating with artists now. I'm going to have like a year or something practice coordinating with them, and we can just hope that that doesn't make the process much slower than it is now. But there will be times, I'm sure, where we need to get some assets up, or I'm behind on supporting the assets that have been produced for me, and it's just. There's a week, but it's not going to be a huge sink. I don't think.
But it's not like every bug fix takes exponentially longer, right?
No, not at all. And I mean, you get better at it too. I mean, I'm better at fixing bugs than I was 5 years ago, and you just keep getting better at that kind of thing. I mean, I can solve some bugs that would have taken me 3 or 4 days when I was 20. I can solve them in 15 seconds now. So it's just a constant balance like that. And the thing is, you can kind of step outside what you're doing and say, does my workflow suck now? is my workflow completely gotten terrible? And then you can address it, right? I mean, so I think we'll be fine.
Okay. And a follow-up question was, are Steam and Classic updates planned to be simultaneous?
Yeah, I mean that's the easy. I mean that's the kind of the naive plan is like but I think it's actually going to be slightly more interesting than that in the sense that we've got access to like experimental branches now. We've got we're using one of those now for the artists, right? We just put up an artist build for them to use and play with, and so it may be that I mean Factorio did this for a long time. I'm not sure if they're going to keep it up now that they've released finally, but. It's something that seems prudent. I remember if Caves of Cud works this way and stuff that, you can throw stuff on experimental, make sure it's working and not push it onto the main branch and, screw up everybody's saves and so forth. So I think there'll just be a tumult of interesting things and eventually we'll settle on something that people are kind of happy with. But yeah, I mean, the anticipation is because they work from the same code base. I mean, right now you compile and pop, there's Classic, there's the graphical version or whatever. It's not something that should require any particular delays or anything.
Okay. Well, we actually have, I'm going to skip over one business question really quick because we have a few different people asking more about maintaining old code bases. One person wanted to know, this is Umbral Alderman. What bit of code do you most wish you had written differently, but it's too difficult to refactor now? Versus somebody else wanted to ask, tips for maintaining their long-term code base. So generally talking about how does refactoring work might help these people.
Yeah, it's there's some really silly stuff. Like for instance, the historical figures are the like names in history and their skills and their experiences and so forth are one thing, and then there's the unit, which is the stuff running around in play, and that's cool. I mean, that's like the historical figure is sort of a subset of the unit in a sense, except the older historical figures don't have units attached, etc. But back when we started, we thought there's going to be this way more kind of adversarial setup with kind of like how the Nemesis system works in Shadows of Mordor or something like that. And in fact, this is long before the Nemesis system was set up. We have a structure called Nemesis that is 20 years old. That is the historical figures that are still alive when the game starts. But we just we had gotten rid of that structure. But that's something that is not going to happen now. We're just kind of stuck with this weird structure that is addressing an old need that never actually came up, but now it makes it slightly harder to work with. Whereas something huge like the map rewrite, that's a huge project that involves gutting a ton of the code, but there's a payoff there, right? That's the difference. It's like it's a larger project than doing the Nemesis thing, but we're gonna get a ton out of having the map. The map is stored in a poor way right now, and I can't work on a lot of things that I want to work on. It's blocking me, and I'm just gonna gut the whole thing.
Somebody wanted like specific code management tools or systems that would make that refactoring easier. Do you have any recommendations on that way?
No, I'm the last person you want to ask about for tools and stuff. I'm sure there are, but I wouldn't know about them. I'm not.
Just be a better programmer. That's what your advice.
No, I would never say it like that, of course. But it's. I mean, there are lots of tips and tricks and so forth to kind of avoid refactoring, and but a lot of it just involves like thinking about and planning ahead what you think you're going to do. Think about the different milestones you have set up for your project, and see that you're not messing yourself up, while at the same time not falling into planning paralysis, right? So it's a huge difficult balance, and again, it's just about that kind of working on projects, watching them die, and trying to and figuring out how you work, right? I'm not sure that, I mean, there are general tips, but I'm not sure general tips are the best thing here. Yeah, I mean, of course you don't want to just tell people, it's like, how do you get good at playing the guitar? It's like, go practice or whatever, right? I mean, it's true though. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm asked for business advice, I gave this talk at GDC once about, like, I released my game too early, and like Moon Hunters was our first big game, and we put it out like just a few months of more time would have made it a really big difference, and we put it out a little bit too early. And I always worry about having given that advice or telling that story, because there's so many indies that work on their game too long before they release. And no specific advice is going to work for everybody.
Yeah, although certainly I mean, I am whiffing the question in the sense that it's not, the specific little tidbits are not coming to me, and it's the kind of thing that would be a cool blog post or something that I should probably think about, like what are the top 5 things I'd recommend for code refactoring, or like
things that make you think, maybe that's a problem, like the little things that trip your internal alarms. That would be a great article. I'd love to hear about that. Okay, so to go back to a question I skipped before because it was a little bit off topic. It's for me, on the business side, how do you forecast for something like this? Generally, what are your expectations for release on Steam? I mean, you can watch Ryan Clark from Brace Yourself if you're curious about indie business. He's been one of my top mentors since we started Kitfox back in 2013. And basically it goes, look at the wish list, and you sort of try to gauge roughly how many people might be interested in buying it, but there's so many factors with Dwarf Fortress that make it way too unique. And everybody says that about their game. Everybody says, "Oh, my game's unique. You can't use the normal rules and whatever." But like, come on! Like, Dwarf Fortress has 16 years of people playing it for free. Now, of course, it's an ASCII, and there's all these mods that are hopefully going to be there, but we don't know. But Steam audiences might be not as into the difficulty of it now that there are also these Dwarf Fortress likes all over Steam that are, they're easier in some ways. They're obviously not as deep, but do Steam users care about that? I don't know. I mean, the unfortunately unsatisfying answer is I have no idea what to expect. I expect it will be an event, a historical event. But we're just going to try to do our best. I think both Kitfox is going to try to support Tarn as best we can, and hopefully keep his workflow as similar as possible to what makes him the most productive. One question that comes up to us a lot, I don't think anyone's asked it today, but just again, rapid fire. We have 10 minutes left. Can Kitfox get someone to help you?
Well, they got me 2
like
artists
a programmer,
and
for
a
example.
musician.
A programmer.
Are we talking about a programmer? Yeah, I mean, it's something I've resisted up to this point because I have no idea how to do it. I've never worked with another programmer ever, and so don't know how to do any of the normal things that people do, like pushing and pulling all the proper ways to be committing and happy with little commit notes that help people and comments that are useful for people. My code isn't as bad as people think in terms of comments and variable names and stuff. I mean, I've seen some of the interesting ones where they give their variables random names and so forth. But mine reads fairly like English, has words and so forth.
Okay, how will
but
Legends mode be changing in
Yes.
Steam release?
Legends mode in Steam release. The number one thing we want to do is hyperlinks.
All right, great. Will
buddy.
Scamps attack.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Mouse on the
For
floor.
procedural things like decorations or artifacts, will they get procedural appearances as well or not?
We've done item quality, item material, item wear, state, and spatter, and then we decided, putting hooks and rings and spikes on them may be overkill at this point.
Okay, how do you stay motivated and sane working on the same game for so long?
It's the type of game where that's not so much of a problem because 1 week I might be working on randomly generated bar games, and then next week I'd be working on like different types of fruit or something. So you and you just pay attention to yourself internally, how you're feeling about things, and switch gears if necessary.
What IDE do you use?
Microsoft Visual C, whatever version they're forcing me to use at the time due to the weird license stuff.
Perfect.
It's the free one right now.
Are you willing to commit to any particular period of bug fixing before the Steam release?
Like a numeric period, no, because nothing ever works that way. But are there going to be bugs fixed before the Steam release? Yeah, you betcha. All
right. Did we get through all of them? No way. That's impossible. I must have missed something. Hold on. Well, dang. Maybe I rushed us too much. Whoops. What are you looking forward to at PAX?
Me at PAX. Yeah, just because of how things have been, I have no idea what's going on. I think I have literally no idea. We've got a panel later.
That's true. I was just going to look up what the timing of that was. It looks like it is on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Tarn and I will be on a pre-recorded procedural generation panel. This is you asked in a private email, but I'm going to say live that ideally we would all be there to answer questions. It's not guaranteed or required, but it would be nice just because it feels more like a PAX panel if we hang out in the chat.
That's no problem.
Yeah, okay, cool. So we'll probably be there. Oh, okay, we got more questions. If you were able to work on any other game property, what would it be?
Well, we do, because it's like our way of relaxing, my brother and I, is to
we have lots of questions now, by the way.
Okay. our way, my brother and I's way of relaxing is to work on side projects. There is a list of stuff. As I kind of suggest, mostly it's about space and things because we can't do any of that in Dwarf Fortress. So, well, at least not the same way. So yeah, and I can't be more specific because then people think that it'll actually come out, but I haven't released a side project for 16 years.
So My Little Pony then.
Yeah, My Little Pony.
All right, great, good.
Or something.
Done.
I don't know much about it.
Speaking of controversial topics, okay, so if you were able to, oh no, we already did that one. Thank you, Phoenix Nova. Someone is brand new to Dwarf Fortress. How do you recommend that they get into a game this complex and deep from scratch?
Lots of different ways depending on what kind of thing they like to do. Do they like watching YouTube videos? There's a bunch of cool videos that they can look at. Various there's Captain Duck and then Tiny Pirate wrote the book, I believe. I get these people mixed up sometimes. But there's the book. If you like reading books, there's the O'Reilly Press book about Dwarf Fortress. And generally, getting the lazy noob pack seems to help for a lot of people.
Help me a lot.
Yes. So that's the main thing.
All right. How far would you guess the Steam release is, or how far have you progressed on the progress bar towards Steam release? Is it like 10% or like 50% or what do you?
Yeah, it depends on like graphics.
You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
No, I mean, I don't have any problem talking about it. I mean, so if there's the graphics bar is moving really far along. We have a lot of graphics. You guys have seen a lot of graphics. The interface thing, like we've obviously just started on the main screen. We did the designations, we did the zones, but we still have to do buildings, stockpiles, placement of things, look screen, status, military, etc. I mean, it's a long ass project. We've got things to do. And so that I don't have an estimated percentage time or whatever. And then there's stuff like workshop support. I haven't even started workshop support. Putting in the new music won't take long, so that's not a big deal because we already have one song in the game, and then we just got more songs.
Yeah, I think the interface and usability is going to take up a question mark amount of time is the problem with these estimates. All right, thank you, Ralpha. Kvach wants to know there are only 4 things you can cook. Will you revisit cooking at some point?
At some point, for sure.
Without without a complete rewrite.
Yeah. Oh well, that's a different question. That's a totally different question, and that I'm not sure about that. I mean, it really sucks the way it is now, and that's why we wanted to do a whole recipes thing, and we were going to do that, and then we pushed it because we ran out of time at that particular juncture, and then didn't revisit it.
I love cooking games, so I am here for the cooking update.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about cooking. I'm not very good at it.
I will help you design. That's yeah. No, I'm very into cooking. Well, in games anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody says there was a mention on a thread of a Steam key being included with *** purchases to give *** purchasers access to the Steam workshop. Is that really happening?
Well, that's more your thing, right? I don't know what that is. Are we not allowed to stay it? Is that why it's *** out? Is that about itch?
I genuinely don't know.
What was there a Steam key going to be included with itch? That was something we talked about, right? Something.
Okay, it is itch purposes, but why is it *** then? Oh, because it's not because it was a link. Is it like
okay?
Auto...
Yeah. So you guys know the answer to that one, right?
Then we will give Steam keys with itch purchases. That's totally fine. Yeah. I don't know about. Oh yeah, because any purchase on Steam would give you the Steam Workshop. But yeah. I love supporting itch. So as long as Steam lets us generate tons of keys, then like why wouldn't we put some on itch? I want more games on itch for sure. It's a good place. Moving from ASCII, we have 3 minutes left. Moving from ASCII to graphics, what are you using to render graphics? Is it SDL or straight OpenGL?
We're using SDL currently. Not yet SDL2, although that's in the cards. And yeah, so it's SDL.
All right. And then I guess I'll just use these last few minutes to ask you, do you have any other plans this weekend?
Yeah, this was my main weekend plan, and now I may have to go lay down for a while. I can't go outside, but that was already true. There's other things to do. I had a whole sheet of weekend plans because I suddenly felt like I was overwhelmed with things to do. I've got art stuff to do. I've got to go talk to the artists.
Well, an interview with Rock, Paper, Shotgun is probably on Monday.
Okay, right? That's on Monday. So that's not a weekend plan anymore. That was one of the big ones. I've got to register my Zencastr account because we did the last episode of Dwarf Fortress Talk on there, and it worked really well when we had Brian from Caves of Cud. You should go listen to that if you like Caves of Cud 2. He was on the last episode of Dwarf Fortress Talk, which is just sitting on our website. Yeah. So there's
and we're going to be making a little fall summary video with new footage, right? So I don't know if you're. I was going to say don't do that this weekend. You should do something fun this weekend and do that on Monday maybe.
But now Monday's got a bunch of things. Yeah, your video may be late. You may not get that until Wednesday or something.
That's fine.
But yeah.
I mean, it's these lovely people watching at home will have to wait another couple days, but they didn't even know it existed until just now. So I think it'll be fine.
The interview where somebody Selectome asked, are you talking about the Caves of Cud thing?
No, that's the Rock, Paper, Shotgun thing.
The Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Oh yeah, that's an unknown. He's gonna launch.
I mean, maybe I wasn't supposed to say anything about it, but I figure they could use the extra hype probably. I don't know. They have something going on Monday. I think it's a PAX event or something like that. So that should be fairly evident when it happens. We don't know more about it though. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and thank you Tarn for taking the time out of your busy Saturday, and thank you Scamps for brightening our day as well. Thanks everybody listening and watching. Tune in on Tuesday at 3 p.m. I don't remember which channel, sorry, but maybe we'll be there and chat with you there. Or you can join the Kitfox Discord. You can follow Kitfox or Bay 12 Games on Twitter, and you can subscribe to the Dwarf Fortress newsletter. through kitfoxgames.com. Or you can wishlist the game on Steam, which would be excellent. Please wishlist the game on Steam, especially if you intend to buy it. That is important. Don't just wishlist games and then don't buy them. That's bad. Okay, wishlist them if you're going to buy them. Thank you.
Yeah, people
okay.
High quality wish lists.
Yes, exactly. Okay, goodbye.
Okay.